You're listening to the WLW Studios Radio Network, broadcasting live from Center City, Philadelphia, WLW Studio South, Studio B. This is the Midnight Jury.
This is the Midnight Jury, WLW Studios Radio Network. I am your host, Mike Noringonger, alongside our other host.
We've been called in once again to deliberate another case.
Adam, can you introduce yourself?
I am Adam Henning.
Our inaugural show, our first segment. If you haven't listened to it, you want to go back and check it out. It's about the NWO, and we actually got so into it, we got cut off.
Yeah, I hope to get back to that topic at some point, because I'd really like to finish making my point.
Okay, but segment 2, we're going completely different. It's going to be about the Halloween movies.
Big fans here.
Big fans of the Halloween movies. We're talking about John Carpenter, Deborah Hill,
Mustafa Akkad.
We're talking about the Halloween movies, Michael Myers. Now, before we get into that, the reason you hear all the deep breathing, he just had a certain chicken from a certain chicken place that's down by the bayou that's named after a one-eyed sailor. But anyway, he just got the spicy chicken. There's nothing on it. But he's sitting here like he just drank hot Tabasco sauce.
I can't handle spicy food.
Not even that Tabasco's that hot. Anyway.
I'm hoping this passes soon.
Okay, inaugural show, segment 2, WLW Studios Radio Network. We're going to try and get some sort of verdict on the Halloween movies in a short period of time for the segments for our show. If not, we can always someday come back to this topic, which we will. This is something big we like.
Yeah, maybe at some future point we can zoom closer into the particular movies themselves.
Like each one, we can actually get together. Me and Adam will get together. We will watch the movie, and then we will broadcast to you our exact thoughts and notes on that particular Halloween movie. So we want to broaden out WLW Studios now into the horror genre, and we want to bring all you people who love, all the horror movies, come listen to WLW Studios, because our segment 2 is on the Halloween movies.
Yeah, we know there's a lot of very hardcore horror fans out there, and we want you to know that we're amongst you.
And we go off the wall. We go into the craziest horror movies. I mean, we know all the cult classics.
Chopping Mall.
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. I've actually never seen it.
Spit on Your Grave.
There's a
Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp. I was actually introduced to
classic.
That by Mike.
Excuse me.
Rotor. R period O period T period O period R period. That's a really sort of obscure and ridiculously bad sci-fi, I guess, kind of horror movie.
But we also know the mainstream, of course, the Friday the 13th,
Hellraiser,
the Halloweens, which we're about to get into,
Child's Play,
of course,
etc.,
We know all of them. But let's start off. Okay, now getting into this topic, Adam, I think the first thing we got to do is eliminate one movie. Okay. We're not going to even start yet on the remakes. We won't even bring those up yet. We're not even going to talk about them yet.
I have very strong opinions on the remakes.
And I have a strong opinion too, and we can get into that definitely. But right off the bat, from Halloween to Halloween Resurrection, let's eliminate Halloween 3. We both like it.
Yes.
There's a lot of Halloween fans out there who do not like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Eventually, Halloween as a franchise got to the point, whether it be at number 6 or H2O or Resurrection, it got to the point where Halloween fans were not happy anymore. And I think an argument...
I disagree, though.
Well,
I honestly think that if you really look at it, fans clamor for just that you want a Michael Myers slasher movie, but you don't necessarily need supernatural things or anything. That's why Season of the Witch, people weren't ready for it when it was originally released. It was a completely different movie. But what I'm saying is, people loved that that feeling that original Halloween gave you.
Oh, no doubt about it.
So.
There's no doubting that Season of the Witch is going to be a disappointment when you know the first one
And
holds
two.
you to such a high standard in the first two.
But-
some
but-
people
but-
argue against number 2 being a worthy contender, but I think number 2.
But there's also a lot of huge fans of Part 3.
Yeah, no doubt
like
about
us.
it. But I think maybe, this is hard to say because me and Mike both like number 4. I like number 5. He doesn't. But
I like 5 there's parts of 5 I like. It's just that there's so many parts that they screwed up on.
I get my point. Sort of connecting it to number 3 though is that maybe the Halloween franchise would have been better off in the long run if they had kept switching it up with each movie. I'm thinking that maybe number 1 and number 2 are the great films that they are. Number 3 is generally regarded as an okay. The average review for number 3 I'd say is okay. People love it. Some people hate it. It's an okay movie. But overall, IMDb rated. I'm sure it's probably out of 5 or so. But if they had continued to change the storyline for each movie, maybe they would have. Maybe you would have gotten some real gems.
Storyline? Are you talking like how they did with Season of the Witch, like where it was like Tales from the Crypt? Changed it completely?
Correct.
Like kept going with that?
Yeah,
because not brought back Myers?
Correct, because what I'm saying is
man.
the only. Well, no. Okay, the only movie that I think Halloween fans widely regard as being acceptable after number 3, and I'm talking about widely regarded. These aren't my feelings because I actually like some of the movies that come after number 3. Number 4, I think, is pretty widely regarded as being a good entry into the series.
Yeah, 4 is awesome.
5 has some fans, and 5 has some haters. 6 definitely has a lot of haters. H2O, I personally hate it.
And I like it.
And then Resurrection.
There's parts of H2O I don't like, but I like I feel like the overall feel, there's a lot of dusk shots. It's done very much like the original, like 2 and 4, even in parts of 5. It goes with that feeling. I don't know. I like 8 parts of H2O. There are parts of H2O I don't like, but
yeah, H2O. My main problem with that movie is the score, the musical score of the movie, and not the those, the original theme by John Carpenter.
But you like 6 with the rock and roll theme.
Whenever that theme is used in any movie, including Season of the Witch, there's a part where that theme plays. It brings you right back to the original movie, and it gives you that same feeling that you had the first time you saw the movie. The music is so effective. But in H2O, the score, besides that main theme, is like an action movie. Like the music is not scary. It's
Yeah, but in part 6, which you love so much, they rock out they rock out every theme with electric guitar.
I don't mind the new taking the original Halloween theme and putting a new spin on it. I don't have a problem with that because I feel like I like that theme in any form. As long as it has the original foundation, you can distort it and add things to it and sort of revive it and make it relevant to the movie in time.
You're jumping ahead, though. Are you jumping ahead to start an argument because 6 has such a bad guitar? Like, it makes no sense. It's clearly trying to be trendy at the time.
Let's zoom back in on H2O.
We're talking about, actually, we're supposed to be talking about part 3 and why we can dismiss it.
I'll get back to part 3 in very short time. Okay, so H2O, my main thing is the music. Mike likes H2O, whatever. Resurrection, I feel is
terrible.
Is universally panned by true Halloween fans. So I guess my point is that if you continue to have a different.
Put it this way, with Resurrection, I just have to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm a person of tradition. Every Halloween, I pull out all my Halloween movies, and I don't mean just my Halloween-named movies. My Halloween-themed movies. I have a collection of Halloween-themed movies, just like I have a collection of Christmas-themed movies. Okay? Just like I have a collection of Easter-themed movies. When I pull out my Halloween movies, when it comes to Halloween actual movies, I make sure to watch 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those will be watched every Halloween season without a doubt. I will then fight to watch the other ones, including the first remake by Rob Zombie. I literally have to be without a job, nothing to do for weeks on end in October to get the muster up to put in Halloween Resurrection.
To muster up the boredom.
Yeah, I mean, like, you have to be so bored, and like you will have to have watched every other installment, including the remakes, 2 times before you can be like, all right, I need to see something new. I mean, okay, Busta Rhymes, Tyra Banks, all right, fine, whatever. And then you put it in, and you're like, damn, I shouldn't have watched this.
Yeah, so, my point, yeah, exactly. Halloween Resurrection is not a loved movie by Halloween fans. So my point is that 3 had a different storyline. Halloween 3 had a different storyline. And maybe...
Actually, you know what? If anyone is listening to this on YouTube or anywhere that we upload it to, if you like Halloween Resurrection, we would love you to email us at wlwstudiosnewjersey@gmail.com.
Yeah, because maybe we have the wrong idea. Maybe there are more fans of the movie than we originally thought.
That would be awesome, as a matter of fact. If you've listened to the first segment and you have something to say about the NWO, or you're listening to this segment on Halloween, if you have any comments or anything, eventually we're going to be streaming live, and eventually we're going to be able to take phone calls. But if you have anything, any email you want to send us, it's wlwstudiosnewjersey@gmail.com.
We'll invite you into the jury, and you can deliberate.
Yeah, or go to our Facebook
with
page.
us. So,
which is, facebook.com/WLW Studios.
You got to get that in there.
Yep.
So Halloween 3 has a different storyline. If 4 had a different storyline, and 5 had a whole different storyline, and 6 and 7, I feel like you would have, at the end of the day, made out with the same batting average. That I think you would have probably had some hits, you probably would have had some misses with all these different storylines. But it probably would have been about the same average in popularity as the way it wound up being.
Do you know if they have any like Tales from the Crypt fan conventions that would fill up a whole like convention hall?
Well, Tales from the Crypt isn't really
But that's
a
kind
movie.
of.
I mean, there is a Tales from the
Creepshow.
Crypt movie.
Creepshow didn't go past 2.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same thing. It wouldn't have been the same phenomena. But you still would have had
That mask you could put on anything and people will buy it. Shirts.
You still would have had number 1 and 2 though, that I think would have persisted. I'm not. That's an interesting topic as to whether the continuation of Halloween 4, 5, 6, H2O and Resurrection, and Rob Zombie, if those weren't made, would Halloween 1 and 2 be held up? Would there still be that same sort of interest around Michael Myers? So is it that number 1 and 2 are propped up by the rest of the movies in the franchise? I'm not sure. Mike has a point, maybe.
I think Michael Myers is the franchise. I think the reason you have you had the H25 convention in California is because of Michael Myers. That convention doesn't happen if everything past 3 was different.
Maybe
Now, but props to you. You love it too. Trick or Treat. I hope that becomes something that becomes. And if anybody hasn't seen Trick or Treat, go out and watch it and support these. Get on their Facebook page, get whatever you can to support. To let them know that fans are out there, so that more come out and keep them the same quality.
Yeah, there's 2 quintessential Halloween movies, or groups of films. The Halloween franchise is one of them. It's synonymous with the Halloween holiday. And the other one is Trick or Treat.
I didn't think that there would ever be one that I thought could rival the Halloween franchise, but if Trick or Treat does it the right way, and I think by releasing them slowly, if that's their plan, it is the right thing to do.
Definitely.
But to keep them quality. But they definitely, I hope that I keep hearing rumors. I just hope there's a second.
Yeah, I mean,
and on from there.
It deserves a sequel. We mean it sincerely that it's something that you need to go and see.
As a matter of fact, Adam, I'm going to write that movie down as another topic for another time.
Okay.
So that we can come back to that.
That's a good idea.
All right, but let's keep going with. So Halloween 3.
Everybody can go and see Trick or Treat in the meantime, and you could be part of the discussion when we eventually get to it. But Halloween 3, maybe they could have incorporated Michael Myers, the character, in different scenarios in the movies following Halloween 3. Had a kind of a fresh storyline that you're still dealing with that same mask, but in different scenarios where, it's not Haddonfield, it's not Dr. Loomis, it's a whole different universe almost, but this character emerges in all these different types of scenarios.
That actually, I'm picturing that, and I can see that working only because, like, that mask, they make it seem like as if
it's more than just a human.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, like, even in the Halloween movies, when people get a hold of that mask, it's in, like, a drugstore. It's just on the shelf in a drugstore.
Mm-hmm.
So if each movie, it was a different part of the country, and someone got, some reason, that was the mask they chose. Not that I don't want anything supernatural happening. I don't want the mask glowing. I don't want anything crazy happening. But if it was a different story of a strange type of serial killing, and it could get dirty in some, like, and I don't mean dirty in a bad way, but I mean, like, some could be, like, SVU style, where it has to do with, like, a rape and a murder. And then one could have to do with, like, a guy who becomes a serial killer who kills, like, a few people, like Michael Myers. And it could have different scenarios, but all involving someone who sees that mask or goes, like, crazy and goes to go get a mask around Halloween time. That's a good idea. I hope people out there hear this.
No, totally.
Wow, I'm gonna have to remember that at 17 minutes. That's good.
I don't think I 100%. It's rare that we agree on topics.
I'm just saying that could have worked. That could have been a good idea. Not that I'm not diminishing Michael Myers. That's why we're talking about this.
I mean, the whole thing about Michael Myers is, in my opinion, the way he conducts himself, the way he walks, the way he carries himself, the mask, the visuals of obviously there's no sound involved. He doesn't talk, so it's all about the visuals. It's the mask and the way the character carries himself. So you can get that across, I think, in other forums and other sort of other storylines. But
I think the next big Halloween show we do should be like our personal rankings of the movies and the descriptions of them. Because right now we're being broad in general.
Yeah, I'm so up for that.
In a later show, that's an idea too.
You'll see.
You'll see the differences.
The differences in your jury members here.
Yeah.
How differently we feel about the Halloween
We're
movies.
really going to need other people to weigh in on that one, because me and him do not agree after number one.
Number two. I think we both
agree 1 and 2 are okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. I agree.
And I one of the main points of contention, and he just sort of brought it up, Mike did, is he said very, very sternly, no supernatural. And I don't think that...
Nice and professional burping. I hope that picked that up.
That's what happens when you eat chicken.
Louisiana chicken. We can say that, right?
Anyhow. So anyway, supernatural. I don't have a problem with supernatural elements being in the Halloween movies. I don't want to see any levitating Jedi powers or anything like that. But
I don't even want to see the mask glow or anything.
No, yeah,
I don't want to see anything weird like that. Just a different story where something about that mask that'd just be cool.
The occult is something that I do not have a problem with, and in the Halloween movies, which basically means to all of you Halloween fans that I do like number 6. I like the exploratory aspects of how they're trying to get behind the motivations of Michael Myers and sort of connecting him to a larger theme of there being this sinister
the reason I don't like
people.
The main problem I have with 6 well, okay, I'm not even gonna say the main problem because I might just completely change my opinion later, but I'm gonna say a problem I have with 6 is that 1 and 2 obviously go together. Then you take your break with 3. Then you go to 4 and 5, and they go together. You have the same characters. You have Loomis. You have Jamie. Then you get to 6, and they start just throwing in all this BS characters. And the only character that has any bearing to anything previous that happened was Loomis. And he looks so old and decrepit. He died during final production of the movie.
Which makes it that much more special.
It does, and I like that, but it almost looks like he didn't enjoy it.
You like that he died?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I like that he was doing a Halloween. Like, it's almost like Donald Pleasance has a friggin' crazy acting career. Like, if you actually look it up and you go check out what he's done. But, like, to people our age, I'm 31 years old. To people our age, he's Halloween.
No, that's
especially
true.
if you like horror movies. And it's like he just I'm happy in a sense that he left the world doing what he had been doing for the past like 20 years. But it almost looked like he shouldn't have been doing it. He was too old. It looked like they just like wrote him in. It's like, oh boy, he's just so old for the character. Then to have Paul Rudd playing the guy across the street who was Tommy Doyle, right? He played?
Yeah.
Which he didn't even look or resemble the kid who played Tommy Doyle. Like, they didn't even try. They couldn't even get Danielle Harris to play Jamie.
Well, she didn't want to because
No shit, she didn't want
they
to.
wrote her out
I'll
so
say
early
it. I
in
don't
the
even
movie.
care. Yeah, because that's like, come on.
I'm not saying I agree with everything
They
they
took
did
2
in 6,
movies and just crapped all over it.
but if you like Donald Pleasance, or more importantly, if you like Dr. Loomis, number 6 is the movie where you start to explore some of his history with the guy in the black trench coat, and his history with that guy, and his history with Michael Myers. There's like a TV edit for number 2, for Halloween 2, where they filmed extra scenes for TV because they had to cut out some of the more graphic scenes when they showed it on TV. So they actually filmed scenes to replace them, which I think is actually really cool. I don't know if you could actually find those cutout scenes on DVD. I don't think you can because I've looked for them in the past. At least you couldn't before. One of those scenes is Michael Myers with Dr. Loomis at the hospital, and like there's like, I think it may say murder written in blood, like on the door or something. There's something that delves a little bit deeper into the history of Michael Myers and like what he was up to when he was in the hospital. And those are all areas that I want explored as a Halloween fan. You can't just keep bringing, in my opinion, you can't keep bringing Michael Myers back and just killing a new set of characters without finding any new information out, or at least making the story interesting. And I thought with 6, though the delivery was off and they screwed it up in like post-production by cutting out pivotal parts of the story. And there's some...
Well, yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing that really hurt that movie, in my opinion. Like, when you watch the actual release of that movie, it's like, oh, God. Like, you could almost... It's like one of those movies, like, and I feel this way also about, and I don't know if anybody's seen it, Tom Hanks's That Thing You Do. Have you ever seen it?
I have
Wonders? Not. You watch the movie, and you could tell there's parts that they cut out. Because whoever the movie company thought that it was too long and they had to keep cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. But like when you actually see like the unedited version of that movie, you realize, oh, that's why I felt that way when I originally watched that movie. That's how I felt with Halloween 6.
Okay.
I felt like you watch it and you almost can tell. I would have found a better way, even if they couldn't film it, to kill off Loomis.
No, yeah. Well, not only that, Michael Myers attacks the people in the cult that he's a part of. At like the weird hospital toward the end, he just starts massacring the nurses that are working for the cult. And it makes no sense. And I think I remember seeing like special features on a DVD where they're saying that they wanted more gore. So they just kind of staged this scene where Michael Myers starts killing people. And it's literally the most mindless killing you could ever picture, because it actually goes against logic based on the storyline that they set in the movie. So I mean, things like that, like the cuts that they made, hampered the ability to tell that story that I was into. I've never even seen the producer's cut, but I liked what they were trying to do so much in Halloween 6, and I think they did it to enough of an extent where I'm fully on board with Halloween 6. And I also think it's very...
I'm just hoping that one day, and this is going to have to be a final note because we're running out of time. I just hope that one day that they somehow get those rights and can release the real version and let that director do what he wanted to do, because he was a fan, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
I wish they would just let him do what he wants to do and release that movie, and then I promise that I will give that movie a whole nother looking at if they just let him do it the way he'd do it. Not even bootleg version. Let him sit down and do it the way he wanted to do it.
And sort of make it part of the Halloween canon.
Yeah.
Because right now, there's no way to comprehensively start again without possibly considering Rob Zombie's Halloweens, or possibly considering...
No, well, I don't I like Rob Zombie's first Halloween. I haven't even seen the second because I've heard such bad things about it from legitimate sources of Halloween knowledge. But I like the first one. I really do. But I don't consider it in the canon. Maybe some of the childhood stuff, but everything after that, like the second he becomes a teenager, or the second he becomes the age that Halloween, the original Halloween starts, that's when it goes right into that.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
that's how I look at it.
I'm
I
just
look
worried.
at it. You're looking at a different. I look at it as just a different aspect in Rob Zombie's once he hits those where they're remaking the original.
I just think that those movies are too recent to not jump off of. I feel like the producers or whoever winds up...
Well, are they ever going to release a real... Are they going to ever continue the canon of Resurrection?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I think that trying to tie all the loose ends from Halloween 6 and trying to make them line up with Resurrection and H2O is they're just going to say, F it, let's just do another Rob Zombie Halloween sequel. And that's what worries me. I'm hoping that Halloween fans can rally behind the original canon and get them to do a sequel from that point.
Well, can we say as of right now the verdict is once again not in?
Not in.
Not in, and we're going to keep going. This is going to be another subject we do again. This is the Midnight Jury, WLW Studios radio network here at WLW Studio South, Studio B. We're broadcasting from Center City, Philadelphia. This is Mike Noringonger.
And this is Adam Henning.
And that's the end of segment 2 of our inaugural show. We will see you another time.